Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Friday, the 19th of January. With McShane, we're working our way through Acts, following the missionary journeys or the adventures of Paul as he takes the gospel around the ancient world. In chapter 19, he goes to Ephesus, meets a small handful of believers, and then spends 2 years there. And the ministry flourishes to the extent that at a certain point, some of the silversmiths create a problem. They say that Paul is turning people away from the gods of the Romans and the Greeks, and they had a temple to Artemis there. And they come along and say he's going to demean the goddess Artemis. Whereas as you read it, it's quite clear that their real concern is they have a trade. They make little idols of Artemis and sell it to people. And if Paul stops the trade, they're going to lose business. It's a financial consideration for them, not so much a religious one. But they call the crowd together. And we're told soon the whole city was in uproar. The people seized Gaius and Aristarchus, Paul's traveling companions from Macedonia, and all of them rushed into the theatre together. Paul wanted to appear before the crowd, but the disciples would not let him. Even some of the officials of the province, friends of Paul, sent him a message begging him not to venture into the theatre. Again, Paul, in what he does, creates problems as he goes. We mustn't expect our lives will be that much different. But what I thought as I read this was looking, here is Paul, and we're told that the disciples said he shouldn't go in. And then also some officials who are friends of Paul said he shouldn't. Now, as I read that, I thought it would appear that those friends of Paul are different to the disciples. Were they also disciples? Possibly not. And it certainly from the text doesn't look like they were part of the fellowship of disciples. Their discipleship isn't mentioned. They were friends. And it made me think, here is Paul, this great evangelist. And it appears from this, well, certainly to me, it appears that he has friends and contacts and people that he gets along with who aren't disciples. He has friends outside of the Christian community. And I've heard people saying that, oh, we shouldn't do that. You must make sure that all your friends and all the people you socialize with are part of the church. And I'm not convinced that that is true. Who do we witness to if all our friends are Christians? If all the people we associate with are already part of the church, who do we reach out to? Other than standing on the street corner trying to hand out the tracts, which has a very limited efficacy. But here it appears that Paul had friends that were part of the church, but there were also friends that were outside of the church. And we need to be prepared to do the same. And so as you go through life, we mustn't think that we have to be restrictive and narrow in our friendship and our social circles. It is good for us to have friends outside of the Christian faith. We just need to guard that we're not influenced by them, but instead it's the other way around, that we influence them. And as we do that, we've got opportunity to share the gospel, to let the light of Christ shine through us into their lives, into the community, into the world. And so be encouraged to make those kind of friendships, to reach out, to associate with people of all sorts of walks of life, so that like Paul, we'll have disciples, fellow disciples, who will be able to speak and warn, but there will also be friends who are public officials who aren't part of their fellowship, who can also speak to us. So be challenged by that thought, be encouraged by it, and know that, like Paul, as we walk with God, we are blessed.